not to make my mom upset and disappointed in me. Not that I'm hunting her approval. Sorry, Mom.
By the way, your wife bought me this shirt.
So I saw it, and so yes, so yeah, my wife buys my buddy clothes. There's nothing weird about that at all. But it was in the process of buying all those T-shirts that we talked about in the last episode.
Yeah.
But she showed me that.
Yeah.
And she's like, I got this for Jimmy. And I was like, yes. Yeah. So, anyway. So, I think we've each given you an article of clothing now. Well, don't wear what I gave you as an article of clothing. It's supposed to go over your clothing.
Okay. Yeah.
Because if you only wear that, you better...
That thing is awesome, actually.
Well, it was an apron. Yeah. But you better just be making breakfast for you and Kim.
You made that phrase, that whole phrase on there, you made it up. It's really, like, it rolls off the tongue really well. Everybody's like, what does it say?
We'll have to get it and show it, yeah.
Well, but then you have to tell the backstory of the dorm floor I lived on and all that, too.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're in charge. We can talk about whatever we want.
Last episode, I wore a black, it was the episode before that, I wore a black and orange T-shirt.
Yeah, it was very Flutters.
Yeah, definitely. Big time Flutter colors.
Yeah.
My Flutter buddy, by the way, that's spelled Flooders. A lot of people think it's Flutters when I say it. It's Fludders, not Flutters.
Yeah, y'all ain't got these are low friction relationships, no friction relationships.
Yeah. So anyways, but my buddy just bought a 1953 Bonanza, and it's orange and black and white.
Yeah.
And he's, we were all on the floor together, so it's like pretty sweet.
Absolutely. Yeah, that is the biggest cult. I mean, brotherhood. It transcends any fraternity.
I don't know what the floor is doing these days, but I still see the T-shirts and some Laterno pictures. So yeah.
No, it's like it in the bell tower,
which the Flutters and the bell tower have come together for some epic events.
Yeah. Remember, my mom watches this, so we can't talk about some of them.
Anyways.
Yeah. So, okay. So we're jumping into this episode. Yeah. Listen, hold on. Did this camera out here that's by my truck where I'm parked on the side here?
Yeah.
Is that
Not all the time. It'll record motion. Why?
Okay, good. Because every time we've gone out, set change in between, I'm just ripping my shirt off out there.
Oh, well, it won't be armed right now because I'm home. But it was It was armed while I was away.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you might probably only have a picture.
Okay.
But I started thinking, I was like, I wonder if
there's one right here too.
Yeah, well, and that's not why I went out there. It's just that I was like, well, I could bring all of the shirts in.
Yeah, there's actually 2 cameras. There's one in each corner.
Or I could just leave my shirts in the truck and go to them. But that, just a few steps, little sunshine. Okay, you're more steps back. A little fresh air.
Yeah.
A little, 20-step break.
Yeah.
All right.
Meanwhile, my blink camera's like, shop camera, motion detected.
I might need that footage. That's all I'm saying. But I'm like, if the neighbors see me come outside every 30, 40 minutes, okay, and I'm ripping on a new T-shirt, ripping one off and putting one on.
I mean, whatever they think.
Well, we're filming today.
This gentleman over here is a police officer in the KPD.
Precisely, and he's going to be the most suspicious of them all. No, 2 guys, home alone during the day, friction-free relationship? I don't think so. Changing clothes. Listen, we're telling you right now, it's for legitimate purposes.
Yeah, I mean legit, absolutely.
Okay, all the things that haven't happened that could. All right, so Jimmy, you had a piece that you wanted to talk about called Confession. So we've cleared the hard drives on everything and made room, and I've submitted a dinner order with DoorDash.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 I've got some things to confess to.
All right. Go ahead, my son. Sorry, that's not what we're doing.
I mean,
my dad was raised Catholic. Y'all calm down.
I didn't know that. How did I miss that? Did you share that?
I don't know.
Huh. Okay. Yeah.
So my aunt was too, and she passed away within the last year, probably right
Yeah.
about a year, and she had a Catholic. She had a full Catholic service. My grandmother and grandfather just had graveside stuff. So, but there was all the stand up and the sit down and the things that you repeat.
Oh, I didn't know that. I don't.
And
okay.
I couldn't hang, and I felt like this is my family member. I'm on the family row, but
You're falling out.
yeah, I
Yeah.
just so I was a swing and a miss on appearing Catholic there. So
Yeah. Doing some touch and goes.
yeah, it was a lot of that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I get that.
okay,
No, so I just wanted to. I had this thought about. Again, I think you and I both experienced some really deep healing recently, and maybe we'll talk about that at some point. But the process of that. But one of the things that was a part of that process was, for lack of a better term, even though public is, I think most people think public when they think public, but like would be public confession, I
Right.
guess corporate confession. And it's one of the things that I really think 12-step programs does really well. In the sense of the whole context of it, the idea that you can come into a place and I believe there's biblical support. If you look in James, I think what is it? 5:16, I think. Confess your sins one to another.
oh yes, that's it.
Right? There's
I should
biblical
know, I
support
know,
for
but
that. There's biblical
still.
obviously there's biblical support for the repentance piece of saying, our repenting of your sin before God and accepting his forgiveness and all of that. But there's also this idea of confess your sins one to another. And I think the 12 steps programs get that really right, because you come into an environment where these folks around you are not judging you. That's the context. That is the value. And that you are opening up and basically sharing the thing. In that particular context, it would be thing associated with whatever addiction you're dealing with or whatever.
Right.
And you are accepted despite that thing and encouraged to continue in your healing from that thing. And then I think from a biblical standpoint, there's all sin, right? There's a necessity to do this process. And I think that we just give lip service to that sometimes,
Okay.
especially as adults.
Yeah.
It's like when we're kids, it's like, oh, Mom, I'm sorry. I screwed up. I did this thing.
Yeah.
But like once we get out on our own, it's like, oh, well, even if you're of our faith, where repentance and all of these things are a part of the faith,
Yeah.
it's just between you and God. But there's a sense of the benefits of just getting it out in the light of another person.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say this, and it might trigger a little bit some folks. This is not an accountability group.
Yeah. There we go.
Accountability groups, at least as I understand them, fundamentally do not work. I'm just going to say that.
Okay.
Because I think that an accountability group is other people trying to grab you by the coattails or grab you by the shoulders and like pull you in a direction. Whereas what the 12 steps does is we're all in this together, man.
Yeah.
Right? And
The accountability group depends on your willingness to show up in
Right.
honesty and transparency.
right, well, but see,
Which you have the invitation to do in the 12 step. We're all in this together.
right. But I think the accountability group model, as I understand it from when I was part of those kinds of things, it was always this by the sheer your will is not strong enough.
Yeah.
So if you can gather enough fellow wills around you that by the power of all of our wills, we can get you to be a better person.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Well, no. Okay.
And
No.
we're going to be hard on you. We're going to say things to you that are going to be harsh and whatever, and it's going
Yes.
to make you a better person. The other thing that what I'm trying to say is, yes, sometimes when you confess to another person, they will say things like, hey, so that's great, but what's really going on? And then they'll dig into it, and then you'll realize you're worse off than you thought.
Yeah.
That's part of the confession process, for sure.
That gets into,
So-
and when they do that, that's basically what an experience is like with a therapist.
Yeah.
To get things going, it's one-on-one.
Yeah.
So while your therapist may or may not have struggled with what you're bringing to them, they probably have, but they are it's a full-on engagement,
Yeah.
and it's not a combining of wills.
And that's the thing, and I think there are people who say I have an accountability group, but what they really have is brothers and sisters who are walking with them.
Right.
The accountability groups I experienced, like sort of growing up in my faith, were not like that.
Okay.
And I felt like that was kind of the culture back then of just this, like, it was a lot of stones, maybe not thrown, but stones picked up.
Right.
In that circle. This is different. It's like therapy in the sense of it's a safe place for you to come. And I guess what I'm saying is, from a concrete standpoint, it would be cool if maybe we would start looking at that differently as evangelicals, to where we had groups that would get together and make this safe place where we could confess these things, be prayed for, get healing, and then walk away not feeling like a POS because this week, I didn't attain to the standard of the group that I said, hey, hold me accountable for this thing.
Right.
It was so much for me, and I'm talking about in particular the experience that we both had with this sort of process that we went through.
Mm-hmm.
It was so much more profound to go through, to sit, even when someone was nailing you to the wall about something.
Yeah.
The love in that room was so much greater,
palpable,
than what I experienced where someone was like nailing me to the wall in like an accountability group that I was a part of, where it's like, well, you said you need to do this thing, like, I'm going to hold you accountable, like that's what, and it's like, it's just willpower.
Yeah.
Amplified. And confession, you get it off, you get it out there, you get it out in the light, you deal with it, you get healing, and then you move on. And if it happens again, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's honestly something I don't know. I've never been a Catholic.
Right.
I think that the Catholic model of confession, to some degree, is pretty awesome in this regard. I think it can be. I think you.
Sorry, Mom. Calm down.
I think you should remove the partition.
Yeah.
And be looking in the pre-size.
Yeah,
like,
no, but that I'm having to say this. I'm having to speak because you're giving life and light to it.
Yeah,
not life in a negative way, but you're bringing the life, capital L, to this dead place, and no. There's a lot. Well, and having been on both sides of it.
Yeah.
How little do I have to confess or admit to or whatever,
right? Oh man,
and maintain the approval,
playing the game,
right?
Yep.
So I can get the approval because I know that if we went hardcore here, there's no way that I'm going to get approval,
right?
So how can what do I? Because now I've got to do what the Lord says and get my approval. Yeah. Well, what do I do?
Yeah.
So all right, I'm very willing to say, this. Now, does it change the heart of the person confessing? Okay. Here's where, again, having been on both sides of it, it's not as healthy as it needs to be. And is it incomplete? Yes, but it is such a huge step in the right direction. Right. And so if you can encourage and nurture those seedlings, it can grow
Yeah.
into the maturity that it
Absolutely.
needs to be. I've seen this, myself. I've been working on it with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Recently had an episode with one of the kids. I won't say her name. Y'all know her anyway. All right, but there was just an issue, and she felt bad about it,
Yeah.
and she was admitting to it and dancing around the side, and I stopped her, and I said, "All right." And just the day before, she and I had talked about this full-on, confession thing, getting it out there. And that's where the healing work starts,
Yeah.
right? And so I said, so we're going to start over. I said, I want you to remember the pain that I was in when I was telling you, listen, you need to live life this way. Don't repeat what I've done. Don't make these, this, that's you remember that. Yeah, because it's yesterday.
Yeah.
I was like, I want you to start over while keeping that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
She just broke, and I'm so sorry, and I this and I that. And it was magical to see. I mean, it was just so cool because she was truly and deeply sorry, and instantly her countenance
Right.
was lifted.
Right.
So now she had to take the plunge off that diving board.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But she popped back up and it was like, let's go.
Yeah.
And she came back up and, and her mom and I were there,
Yeah.
and she's like, well, I can do that,
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I'm not a psychologist at all, but I think there's something going on.
I'm not
there.
either, but I married one.
You did, and I'm curious. Sometimes I'm curious what she thinks of that whole process.
She buys other men clothes. Sorry.
But it's true. Like there's a weight.
Just you.
There's a weight that comes off, and
Buddy Brad.
I mean, I just had this morning actually. So last night, can't remember what was going on. Oh, the boys were looking for a movie that we own.
Yes.
Couldn't find it.
You don't have it on a media server somewhere?
So we have a media server.
Okay, of course you do.
But it's out of space, and I haven't upgraded the hard drive.
What do you out of petaflops?
No, I think it's like got an 8 terabyte hard drive or something on it, and they're Blu-rays, so they eat up a lot of space. So, and I own all of the discs. So, just before we.
Some guy from the recording industry and knock on the door. We're in the middle of filming.
So speaking
Gentlemen?
of said ownership of said
Right,
discs,
yeah.
the server got deleted accidentally at some point,
Right.
like 6 months ago. So I had
You
to
had to
rebuild the
You had to
server,
re-encode everything.
reburn all the blue. It took forever. We had this movie originally on the server. It wasn't on the server anymore. Steven, the 9-year-old, he's highly intelligent especially when it comes to keeping track of little details, even though he sometimes forgets things that he's supposed. It's an interesting dynamic, but
Yeah.
he's like, well, Dad,
He has fire.
I think it's in that box above your shop that I put all the Blu-rays in that got put on the server. I put them all in this box and put it in the attic above the shop, because why do we need them on the shelf if we've got them on the server? So instead of saying something like, buddy, that might be the case, but I really don't want to go out and look right now,
Yeah.
I got angry. And I got angry internally that my 9-year-old was telling me what I should do
Right.
when I'm telling him, don't worry about it. And he's kind of like a dog with a bone. Sometimes he doesn't let things go. He keeps asking.
I've never seen that.
So
Yes, I have.
I got irritated.
Yeah.
And it didn't, I mean, I stayed emotionally, externally under control, but I knew what was going on inside.
Yeah.
I knew what that felt like.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't feel like that anymore. So this morning I gathered the family and I was like, guys, like, I know I already said sorry to you, Stephen, for getting irritated, but I need you guys to pray for me, because this is what was going on the inside. And I don't want that on the inside anymore. And so the family gathered around and we had a little bit of time in prayer, and it was good, but it's the same thing. It's it's that phrase, how free do you want to be?
Right.
Like, how free do you want to be? Do you want to take this thing off? Well, it's got to come out.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and that's until you get that life and that light on it,
Yeah.
you're just
Yeah.
going to kind of be picking at it, kind of like a splinter, but you're going to have to break the skin in a lot of ways to
Yeah.
get those out. Your wife would probably black out if I told her this. Look, my favorite splinter removal tool,
Yeah.
okay, not needles, not tweezers.
Pocket knife, right?
No,
finger-
fingernail clippers.
Are you serious?
Because you can clip the skin. You can pinch it down,
Dude.
and it's like, and you're gonna know that you got hold of it. But it's like, and there it is, and it's gone. And you can usually get
That sounds like a Bob move. Is that a Bob move?
Well, he did sew himself up more than once. Yeah. So my dad. One of the first times that I knew that he had sewed himself up is because Mom fronted him out at the table. He had a scalpel. He was very involved in his own lab work. This is before all the laser scans and different things that they did of your mouth. I mean, my dad was old school. He
Yeah.
opened up shop as a dentist in '76.
Yeah.
Okay. But he would he would take impressions and then trim stuff and really work for bite splints and bridges and partials and whatever he was needing to do for his patients, right? So he had a scalpel that he could change the blade in, but a scalpel is also like a pencil, because when most people hold it, they're making an incision, right? But he wanted the quality of a scalpel, change the blades and shuck them and go. But then he built himself an acrylic handle out of some of his model material that he has there in the shop. So he just squished and had his custom could be.
Yeah.
And he could sit there, and man, he could whittle like nobody's business, right?
Yeah.
Well, he's seeing a patient. They try to put whatever it is, say it's a bite splint, put it in the mouth. It doesn't fit quite right, so he's going to come back here, and he comes back here with his drill, and it's got a little burr of material on it.
Yeah.
And so we're just going to take that scalpel blade, and he does that, and he sets it down, and he goes, and he's going to blow it off or whatever it is. Comes across with the hose, hits the handle
Yeah.
that's kind of moved around or whatever it was. I'm sorry, I remember he moved that handle, then he spun around to stand up and hit it, and it went, I mean, like some slow-mo movie thing, and came down and stuck into the top of his thigh. And he said it went just straight. And I don't know how long that is, an inch and a quarter, inch and a half. And he said it stopped at that bar, whatever the head of the scalpel where it holds it and goes into like the width of the pencil thing.
Yeah.
That's where it stopped. Okay? And he's like, and this is through his slacks and everything. So he's like, yeah. Pulls it out and he's like, I mean, it's already pouring. He's like, shit. So,
I can't.
Right? So he just kind of holds it, doopy-doopy-doo, walks out, and he's just doing his thing, and he reaches into he has surgical kit.
Yeah.
There are his supplies, and gets out some sutures, and then the little hemostats to sit there and do it. Goes back to his office, closes the lab door, okay? And that was a known thing.
Yeah.
If the lab door is closed, bobbeth not.
Yeah.
Okay? Do not leave him alone.
Yeah.
Okay? You're risking life and limb if you go in there. Okay. Well, that didn't apply to Mom. It should have, but it didn't. And so she went charging in there because she needed to ask him a question. Dad's like, nope, not now. And she walks in, and what happened? Dad's sitting there with his pants off around his ankles. Okay? And she walks in, she's like, what are you doing? And he's like, I didn't want you coming in here. And he is in the middle, and he's doing this. She walks in, sees my dad with his pants off around his ankles, door closed, and there's very few explanations that are going to make acceptable sense. And sewing yourself up is not one of them. But he's like, as long as you're here, I don't know if he made her help or not. When I helped him sew up his finger, I did it. Okay,
Oh my gosh.
don't black out.
Anyways.
But yeah, so that was the first time that I knew my dad sewed himself up.
Yeah.
Because he was weird like that. So
Yeah.
anyway, regular dad, not my dad.
Yeah.
Weird dad.
Yeah. Had some giftings.
Just
Self-reliant.
he was like, it was a super clean cut. I poured alcohol in it or whatever.
Oh
I
my
was
gosh,
like,
dude.
Bob, listen, okay. So yeah.
So, yeah. He didn't have to confess that.
No, but no, and
Mom
he
caught
wouldn't
him
have.
in the-
No,
Mom caught him in the
Whoa,
act.
Yeah, no.
He wouldn't have said
no, no. Mom brought that to the lot. She confessed for him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She would have been like, Bob, where'd you get this scar on your leg?
right.
Yeah.
My dad.
Your dad.
Well, Jimmy, thank you.
Yeah.
For sharing about about that. Confession is good. There's a lot of situations that we've been that our society has held on to.
Yeah.
Even some that are very recent. And confession is better than admitting to.
Yeah.
After you're found out.
Or just caught, period.
Or just
Yeah.
caught. And it is very hard to hide in today's culture.
Yep.
Because in a moment's notice, I can share my story to the world.
Yeah.
It may get picked up, it may not,
Yeah.
but I can release it for the public's view.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it hadn't always been that way. So
People are still managing to hide, though. That's what's
Yeah.
interesting, right?
Yeah. So listen, I've been the person that's hidden. That's no good.
Nope. Not healthy.
It's hard, and a lot of times people will come at it from the approach of, well, I'm protecting the other person. They don't I don't want to hurt them, or they
Right.
don't need to carry them. But anyway, it's a good thing. One of the things that I've most recently been dealing with in the wake of the whole approval thing is I'm having to confess. I know it sounds weird, but I'm actually having to legitimately admit, like, what I might be feeling, or maybe if Dina does something that throws me for a loop, and I'm like, okay, that upset me. Is that what you meant? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Verbalizing the
99 times out of 100, that's not going to be what she meant.
Exactly.
But your mind will tell you,
Yep.
you're attacking me. No,
Yep.
no. All right. Because how many times have we been misunderstood
Yeah.
by spouse or someone else? It's like, that's not what I meant.
Yep.
And you feel almost indignant depending on how hard they're holding on to it. If they're like, oh,
Right.
that's not what you meant, cool, then it's fine. But if they're like, no, this is exactly what you meant, and you're like, no, it's not. I know if I'm mad at you, like right now, I'm mad at you.
Right.
But
Right.
I wasn't. So, but that's a great thing to learn ourselves, to
Yep.
lead our children's. Dude, I need water. My brain's not functioning. To lead our children to
Yeah.
our youngins,
Yeah.
but and the fact that y'all did that as a family, oh man, that's good stuff.
Right.
So, always.
Well, it's taken me 17 years of marriage just to start getting on the right track, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're both kind of the same story, right? It's like,
wait, who am I? Hold on.
there it is. There it
Who
is.
am I? And yeah.
If you're watching, you know, and we love you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, that's
Yeah.
he looked like an apparition. Like he was before me for 7 days,
Yeah.
and then he's gone again. And now in my mind, the space that he holds, it's very much like Splinter from
Yeah.
the first Ninja Turtles.
No, he does. He
Right?
does, yes.
This is not the way that you should think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we're like, yes.
So true.
All right.
All right. Well,
You got anything else, boss man?
nope, I'm good.
All right, that's going to conclude this episode on the power of positive confession.
Just confession.
Classy confession. Doesn't- You stay classy
That's
and
right.
stay confessing.
That's right.
All right,
Next time.
we'll see y'all next time.